Great to all the students. Welcome to Global Online. Here we are back with our NTA UGC NET preparation, including JRF for 2023 examination. Wherein in paper 1 series, we are going to see today research and communication MCQs, which are as per the latest analysis cycle, which was for the examination of 13th and 14th of June. So I've taken some important topics over here, which will be definitely important for you to revise in your upcoming, those students are left with their papers. That is the topics which are very common in these two cycles were barriers of communication, one. Second one was interpersonal communication, and research we are going to do hypothesis. So let's have a detailed description about it. Let's see some questions which will really help you out for your papers. At least it will give you an idea about the questions and how to go with those type of questions. Before that, a very important announcement for your quick revision. Global Online has brought a PDF revision paper for revision for paper 1, which will be consisting of 2000 MCQs, updated MCQs, current affairs, short notes, previous year question papers, and most repeated questions. This you will get at a package of 699. You can also get in touch with us on the given WhatsApp number. You can get your PDF available with the help of these WhatsApp number. At the same time, we also have Global Online app, which you can download with the help of Google Play Store. On this app, this is how the interface looks like, and we do have revision course over here. Now, the speciality of this revision course, you will be getting daily live lectures, not only in Hindi, but also in English. You'll be getting all the recorded lectures, 60 plus mock tests, full syllabus notes in the PDF format, as well as 2000 plus MCQ question bank in the form of, which will be easily readable for you. As per the unit, we have divided or segregated all the study material, which will be easier for you to have a look at. Now, coming to next is definitely your answers. We are going to see the questions. So let's start with the first question for the day. So here comes your first question. The initial questions are based on your a topic, that is hypothesis, and then we will start with communication. So on the screen, you have got the first question. So let's see what is the first question all about. And you can start answering the questions after looking at them. So here comes the first question. The first question is all about which type of hypothesis predicts a relationship or a difference between two variables. So when we are talking about two variables, which is that hypothesis which tells you the relationship between the two? That is whether it is null hypothesis, whether it is research hypothesis, whether it is your alternative hypothesis, or whether it is your directional hypothesis. So which hypothesis tells about, or which hypothesis helps to predict a relationship between two variables? So from the given option, obviously the one which helps you to predict a relationship between two variables will be none other than it will be your research hypothesis. That is your option number B. See, null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis are itself the hypothesis, so it will not be a right answer. So basically your right answer will be your research hypothesis for question number 1. Let's go to question number 2 now. Let's see what is question number 2 all about. So question number 2, here comes your question number 2. So question number 2 says, which type of hypothesis states that there is no significant relation or difference between two variables? So there is no relation. It means, see, now this statement they have given in previous year question paper also, but they have given it completely different. But here they have little bit twisted indirectly. They have given the question stating that there is no relation between, or there is no significant relation or difference between two variables, whether it is null, whether it is research, whether it is alternative, or whether it is directional hypothesis. So when we are talking about that there is no relation, so obviously the relation is described, no relation is described with null hypothesis, or you can say that is a negative relationship. Whereas alternative hypothesis gives you a relationship, and which also is called as what? Which also is called as positive relationship. Okay. Then coming to question number 3 now, everyone. So let's go for question number 3. Let's see what is question number 3 all about. So question number 3 is an example based question. So let's see how it is you people are able to answer this question. So yes, let's have a look at question number 3. So question number 3 says that in a study investigating the effect of a new medication on pain relief. So we have, we have a situation and a scenario where a new study, that is a study is investigating the effect of new medicine with respect to pain relief. So which type of hypothesis will be used if the researcher expects the new medicine to be effective than the standard medicines? So here they have taken an scenario of a medicine in which they are asking you that the researcher in, expecting the effect of new medicine compared to the standard medicine. So which will be the hypothesis which will be framed, whether it is null, whether it is research, whether it is alternative, or whether it is directional hypothesis. So it means that if you look at a scenario, the scenario is talking about what's talking about a direction which a researcher is expecting. So in such case, that research hypothesis will be a directional hypothesis, which needs a destination, which needs a focus. So it won't be null, research, or alternative hypothesis, but in fact, it will be called as what? It will be known as your directional hypothesis. So the right answer is option number D. Okay, coming to question number 4 now. Let's see what is for question number 4 about. So question number 4 here on the screen. In a study examining the relationship between hours of studying and test scores. Okay, now such type of question itself comes in the examination where they give you the scenario and then they tell you to identify. So in the study examining the relationship between hours of studying and test scores, which type of hypothesis will be used if the researcher expects a relationship but does not specify the direction? So the researcher wants a specific relationship but does not specify the direction. So whether it is null, whether it is research hypothesis, whether it is alternative hypothesis, or whether it is directional hypothesis. So which hypothesis is a part of a study of between a relationship between the hours and between the test scores? Okay, so let's see, let's identify it very well. So whether it is null, whether it is research, whether it is alternative, or whether it is directional hypothesis. So in such case, the hypothesis which will work will be an alternative hypothesis. Now, why alternative hypothesis? Because it is expecting but not specifying. So just a normal expectation with reference to the relationship. So it will be alternative hypothesis. That is option number C. That is nothing but option number C. Okay. Now let us come to question number 5, everyone. So let's see what is question number 5 all about. So question number 5 is talking about which type of hypothesis. Okay. It is basically the type of hypothesis which states that there is a difference or relationship between variables without specifying the direction of the difference or relationship. So again, here they are asking that which type of hypothesis states that there is a difference between the variables without specifying any direction or without specifying any relationship. So in such case, where there is no relationship or where there is no direction, still such type of hypothesis, that is from the given hypothesis, that is our nominal hypothesis, which is called as what? Which is called as alternative hypothesis. It is none other than, it is known as what? It is known as alternative hypothesis. Okay. Now, coming to next question, that is your question number 6, which we have. In a study investigating the effect of new teaching method on a student performance. So here again, there is an example which is mentioned, as teaching. The teaching learning example it is taken, where it is talking about what? The method, new teaching method on student performance. Which type of hypothesis would be used if the researcher expects any change in the student's performance regardless of the direction? So regardless of a direction, if a student is expected to come up with a new performance, it will be called as what? So obviously it is expecting. It means something, some research has been done. So such type of hypothesis will be called as what? It will be called as a research hypothesis, where you are doing a research and you are expecting a specific performance wherein you want to see the change in the student's performance. Okay. So this is what it comes as what? It is coming as your that is coming as what? Your research hypothesis. Now, question number 7. Let's see question number 7. So question number 7 is all about in a study comparing two groups, okay, where it is group A and group B. So there are two groups. There is group A and there is group B. Which type of hypothesis would be used if the researcher expects a difference between two groups but does not specify which group will perform better? So it is just talking about two groups and it would expect a difference between these two groups. So whether it is your null, research, alternative or directional hypothesis. So when we are talking about two groups where the researcher expects a difference between the two groups but does not specify a specific performance, whether it will be better or not. So in such case, the hypothesis will be called as what? Obviously, the hypothesis will be known as the alternative hypothesis. So such hypothesis will be called as what? Such hypothesis will be known as the alternative hypothesis. Okay, so please remember, when it has a negative relationship, when it has a positive relationship, when it has a direction to be getting, so at that time we use research various resources, research hypothesis. Otherwise, basically all belongs to what? All belongs to your research hypothesis. Okay, now coming to question number next. Now next question is for communication. So from question till 7th question, it's all about your research hypothesis topic. Now here you have communication questions. So let's see. So the question is, which of the following is an example of psychological barrier? So noise, language, poor listening skills or cultural difference, which stands to be a psychological barrier. Okay, psychological barrier will be what? Whether it is noise, whether it is language difference, whether it is poor listening skills, or whether it is cultural difference. So when we look at all the examples, yes, when we are talking about the psychological barrier, so that is your poor listening skills, comes to be what? It comes to be your psychological barrier. Okay, so these listening skills will be termed as what? Or they will be known as your psychological barriers. Okay, now let's come to the next question, question number 9. So question number 9 is, which of the following is an example of physical barrier? So now the topic is barriers of communication, so they are asking you an example of physical barrier, whether it is semantic barrier, whether it is noise, whether it is perception, whether it is language barrier. So among which stands to be what? Which stands to be a physical barrier. So when we look at the question, the physical barrier from the given options, obviously the physical barrier stands to be option number B, that is your noise, which stands or which is known as what? Your physical barrier. Okay, so now let's go to question number 10. So question number 10 is all about, which of the following is an example of semantic barrier? So the options given are noise, cultural differences, language barrier, perception barrier. So if we are asking these options, which of them is called as what? Which of them is called as a semantic barrier? So from the given option, obviously noise, cultural difference and perception does not comes under semantic, but language barrier. Okay, understanding the language or the difficulty in this will be considered as what? Will be considered as our semantic barrier to communication. Okay, now coming to question number 11, everyone. So question number 11 is all about an example of technological barrier. So with reference to technology, we have noise, we have language barriers, we have cultural differences and poor internet connectivity. See, here the question is very straight. Now, I'm not telling you that such straight questions won't be a part of your examination. Definitely, such questions also can be a part of your examination, which you need to be prepared with. So it is basically when we are asking about technological barrier, so technological barrier here stands to be what? Here it stands to be with reference to poor internet connectivity is the one which is considered as your technological barrier, which is known as technological barrier. Okay, now coming next is question number 12. So question number 12 is, which of the following is an example of psychological barrier? So I'll just take this down if you want. It will be clearly visible. Yes. So which of the following is an example of psychological barrier to communication, whether it is noise, whether it is language, whether it is hearing impairment, or whether it is perception differences. So we are talking about what we are your physiological, sorry, not psychological, it is physiological barrier. So the question is talking about physical barrier, which can be a barrier from the given option. So from the given option, yes, if you look at the options very carefully, the one which will stand as a physical barrier is your hearing impairment. That is, hearing disability will be termed as what? One of the physical barrier. Then coming to next question, that is question number 13, everyone. So let's go with question number 13. Which of the following is an example of cultural barrier? Now they are asking us what? They are asking us cultural barrier. So whether it is noise, whether it is language, whether it is perception or different non-verbal clues. Now see, we all know that, culture, obviously, that is language. When language comes as a barrier, you try to ensure that you try to exhibit some type of non-verbal cues. But if this non-verbal clues are not very familiar, they will become as what? They will turn to be, or they will be called as what? They will be called as your one of the barriers. So different non-verbal cues will be considered as your cultural barrier. Okay. Then coming to the next topic, that is question, that is question number 14, everyone. So question 14 is about which of the following is an example of personal barrier to communication? Personal. So personal, it means which refers to an individual. So whether it is noise, whether it is language, whether it is perception, or whether it is lack of trust. So if we take into consideration all these points, which will be considered as, the personal barrier, whether it is noise, whether it is language, whether it is perception, or whether it is lack of trust. So taking into example all these things, what is considered as a personal barrier? So lack of trust will be considered as what? Lack of trust will be considered as your personal barrier. Okay. Yes. Now coming to the next point. Yes. Going to the next question, that is question number 15. So yes, let's see question number 15, everyone. Let's see what is the question all about. Okay, let me clear all the drawings. Okay, so question 15 is which of the following is an example of socio-cultural barrier? So it is asking about what? It is asking about society and culture. So whether it is noise, whether it is language, whether it is perception, or gender role and stereotypes. So obviously, when we consider society and the culture togetherly, it is considering what? The gender roles and stereotype. It means a type of belonging which we have, a type of understanding which we are very firm with, a stereotype. It means which becomes very much specific with related to what? With related to specific society or specific culture. So gender roles and stereotypes are an example of what? Your socio-cultural barrier. Okay, coming to question number 16, everyone. Let's see what is question 16 all about. So question 16 is language barrier. So whether noise, perception, culture, or lack of common vocabulary, what stands to be a language barrier? So whether it is noise, whether it is perception, whether it is culture, or whether it is lack of common vocabulary. So this is considered as what? The lack of common. See, we are talking about language, no? So obviously the common vocabulary will be considered as what? When will be considered as one of your language barrier. Fine. Coming to question number 17 now. So question number 17 is on non-verbal barrier to communication, non-verbal barrier. So whether noise, whether language, perception differences, or inappropriate body language. So definitely when we are talking about non-verbal communication, that is as in barrier. So inappropriate body language turns out to be what? Turns out to be a barrier to communication. Okay, then coming to your question number 18. Now see, read the question very carefully. Such type of question once was been there in your previous year question paper, but in a very old pattern. But that same question, not exactly same, but that type of question is, considered. So let's see what is the question and let's answer the question. So the question is talking about which of the following is not an effective characteristics of your Okay, I'll come again, once again, which is not an effective characteristics of your interpersonal communication. So we are talking about what? We are talking about interpersonal communication, which does not stands to be effective characteristics, whether it is active listening, empathy, dominance, or non-verbal communication. So yes, when it comes to effective, it's not an effective characteristic. So active listening, yes. Empathy, yes. So which is an odd man out. So if you can see the term dominance, okay, is the term which stands to be what? And it is not an effective interpersonal communication. Okay, then coming to an example of, yes, question number 19. Which of the following is an example of verbal communication skill in interpersonal communication? So they have taken two topics. One, they have taken interpersonal communication also, and they have taken the skills also. So here, that is, options given below are what? So the options given below are eye contact, facial expression, gestures, assertiveness. So which stands to be skill in interpersonal communication. So we are talking about interpersonal communication. So here, assertiveness, okay, it stands to be what? Here, assertiveness stands to be one of the skills which is considered as what? Which is considered as your skill with respect to your interpersonal communication when we talk about communication skill. Okay, so this is assertiveness is the right answer. Now coming to question number 20, let's go with question number 20. So question number 20 is, which of the following is an example of non-verbal communication skill? So it is talking about what? Sorry. Sorry. So it is talking about non-verbal communication skills in interpersonal skill. So whether it is asking open-ended questions, nodding, using active listening techniques, or paraphrasing. So when we look at these options, the one which is considered as an example of non-verbal communication in interpersonal communication skills is something that is considered as, you know, the skill is nothing but nodding in agreement. So see, we need to have, we need to have non-verbal communication skills. So nodding in agreement is related to what? Your interpersonal communication skill. Okay. Next, coming to question number 21, which of the following is an essential element of effective feedback? So from the following, which will be considered as effective feedback, whether criticism, personal attacks, constructive criticism, or ignoring the issue? So what will be considered as what? What will be considered as your effective feedback in interpersonal communication? We are talking about what? We are talking about interpersonal communication. So when we consider interpersonal communication, okay, it is basically talking about what? See, effective, no? So criticism is negative, personal attacks is also negative, ignoring is also negative. So only which comes to be effective stands to be what? Constructive criticism. Okay. Then we have question number 22 on the list. So let's see what is 22 all about. So 22 is about example of barrier to effective communication, but with reference to interpersonal communication. Okay, so which will be considered as the barrier? So barrier with respect to what? Interpersonal communication. So active listening can be a barrier, empathy can be a barrier, prejudice can be a barrier, or non-verbal clues can be a barrier. So when we are talking about a barrier, it means an obstacle. So considering the following options, the one which will be considered as a barrier will be prejudice, which will be considered as what? One of your barrier for effective interpersonal communication. Then coming next is 23. Now 23, which of the following is a characteristic of assertive communication in interpersonal interactions? So which of the following is a characteristics? It is talking about assertive communication in interpersonal interactions. Whether it is aggressive behavior, whether it is passive behavior, whether it is indirect communication, or expressing needs and opinions clearly. So a characteristics of assertive communication. But here with respect to what? With respect to your interpersonal interaction. So aggressive, passive, indirect, or expressing needs. So when we look at all the options, option number D, that is expressing needs and opinion clearly, which will be considered as assertive communication in interpersonal interaction. Okay, so yes, coming to question number 24 now. So let's see what is 24 all about. So it is an example of self-disclosure, okay, in interpersonal communication. So we are having an option of what? We are having an option of, the question is about self-disclosure in interpersonal communication. So giving compliments, sharing personal experiences, using humor, or avoiding eye contact, self-disclosure. So when we look at the given option, the one which will be with respect to self-disclosure, it is your sharing your personal experiences will be counted as what? A self-disclosure in your interpersonal communication with reference to what? With reference to your interpersonal communication, that is sharing your personal experiences. And then coming, yes, to the last question for the day. Which of the following is a key element of active listening in interpersonal communication? So here they are asking about what? They're asking about active listening. So when we talk about active listening, interpreting the speaker, preparing a response, offering solution, or providing undivided attention. Active listening. So see, interpreting is a wrong, it is negative. Preparing a response is negative. Offering solution is again, not considered to be very true. So providing an undivided attention, okay, where you are not distracting in any form. So when you do this, it will be considered as what? It will be considered as your active listening with respect to interpersonal communication. Okay, so that is your option number D stands to be what? Option number D stands to be right answer. Okay, so yes, now any student who are looking for your paper 2 study material along with your paper 1, if you want to have quick MCQs and notes revision, we do provide paper 2 study material for the following subjects. These are the subjects which you can have a look at the screen. WhatsApp number is also given, so you can get in touch with us on the WhatsApp number. The fees is 1600, but right now we have a 20% off, so it is 1280. You can definitely get in touch with us with respect to all the study material which we have, not only for paper 1 but also for paper 2. And that's all for the day. Thank you, everyone. Based on today analysis with reference to higher education, people development and environment, I will be coming up with the questions that is in tomorrow's session. So that's all for the day. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day ahead.